to.
Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Pratt. We are here to start our Board of Elections meeting on this day, July the 19th, Wednesday. And I'm going to do a roll call. First, I'm hosting the meeting. My name is Rodney Pratt.
Connie Reese. Carolyn Travers.
Okay, and today's meeting, we are going to be first, we're going to review and approve the meeting minutes for April the 12th, the 25th, and the 28th. If you guys have any questions, just let me know.
So moved. I second.
And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we're going to have a general discussion for the special election needs and procedures. And one of the things that Marianne asked me to do was to continue my efforts in trying to find some more poll workers, because we were
How are we doing on
she hasn't,
that?
she got back,
Don't really know it.
so I did, and she got back to me and said that she found a couple more, and then I gave her someone or two more people too. So she said we should be okay. Now, as far as the training is concerned, I have not heard any more information because the state wasn't, I believe, available to have these, I think it was last week for the training.
Right.
So they had to postpone it for the next date. So I'm gonna wait to hear back from Marianne.
How many poll takers do we need? Do we have backups then for those that might get sick or something at the last minute?
I'd have to ask Marianne, because I know that the people that I've been referring her to, she just said, send me their information so that she can contact them directly to let them know exactly what is needed to be. And I'm assuming that a general email goes out to all the poll workers in order to accommodate that. We're also going to be holding our election and still continue to be in the senior center, but it's going to be in the smaller room.
Mhm.
So that's all, right now, that's all situated just like we did it once before.
Right.
I think because it's such a
2 or
different,
3 booths.
but I know that that's all taken care of. I believe I'll have to go to the city office and get all of the nuts and bolts for the paperwork and then the voters registration thing and all of the pens and pencils, everything that we need for supplies, the bin, right? And just update that. And if you guys could help me remind me of that. And I don't know if do you guys have any other questions about
I don't.
the
Pretty
election?
straightforward. Since we've gone through this before, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Other than that, I believe that the next thing on the agenda would be, we would be open for public comment. State your name and where you're from, even though I know. I need you to know. I know.
Bill Emery, I'm from Bolton. And I just have a question. A couple of months back at city council meeting, obviously, they had questions in reference to rules and procedures governing elections. And basically, there are none, as we all found out. So my question to the Board of Elections is it the board's job to help create rules to help govern eligibility and filing procedures for future elections? Because obviously this election is here. So there's obviously nothing to be done, but at the one city council meeting, I think it was 2 months ago, there was an issue brought up and a vote was to be made or something, but there was no issue. I mean, there was nothing to be discussed, and it was kind of a upsetting issue with several council members. If any of you were at the council meeting that I was at, and they're looking for guidance, the council is, and I don't know, I would assume it would be something that the Board of Elections would kind of direct counsel. I mean, in my opinion, it would be something that the Board of Elections would take in hand to kind of come up with guidelines to lead future elections procedures, like I said. One, do you file online or do you file in person?
Exactly.
These are procedures that I would think the Board of Elections would take and come up with these procedures and then present to council. And then I guess council votes on it and decides, okay, this is now going to be the way we are going to govern elections. I would think this is what Board of Elections would do. And this is my second Board of Elections meeting I attended. The last one lasted 15 minutes and basically was ran by Mary Ann, and no input was given by any of you. And I was kind of honestly quite astonished at where that meeting went.
Well, let me just say this, the general thing that I'm aware of being part of the Board of Elections is there is a state, or there is an election process, a guideline that we do have to follow. And the Board of Elections, it's to make sure that when people vote and we have fair elections, that's the whole goal of how the Board of Elections
Right, of
helps
course.
make sure that we do that properly. But as far as what your questions that you're asking, that is something that we would have to take in, and just part of what you're asking is comments, and then we would have to look into it and follow what the guidelines for if the election process itself says that what we are allowed to do.
That's what I'm kind of looking at here, because obviously the council doesn't believe that there are any. And that's what the fight
It's not
was.
transparent at all.
Yeah, the council didn't seem to have any. And that's what kind of the inner fighting was amongst the council members, which I think kind of led to what the disagreements is in this election right now. And I think it needs to be more transparent and out there in writing, and that everybody knows, so this doesn't happen again.
I'm sure it can be very, in some ways, simplified and presented. I'm just not sure if we, as an entity, are the ones to do that. We would have to talk with Mary Ann, I guess, and see.
Yeah, at this time, we're
It's-
still, we're
it's a good
still,
concern.
yeah, it's a, elections is very general. And I don't know if all states and cities and other, town governments, it should be just basic straight across the board in how they run everything. And we would just have to, get with the city and just figure out how that would go about.
I think it's very important, though, that it's something that needs to be looked at and that needs to be squared away. Obviously before the next election, very, very
It
important,
shouldn't
so we
be
don't
that
have this problem.
complicated with A, B, C, D, what needs to be done.
But we would have to get, like I said, we would have to, get with.
Right.
Our other board members and.
Right,
Mary.
I just asked that you guys look into it and maybe
Oh,
study
It's a good
that,
concern.
yeah,
Yes,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your comment, Bill.
yeah, thank you, guys.
Very well done.
Any other comments from the floor? Okay, so, we were asked to read some comments aloud. And, from a, public member, Mr. Philgross asked us to, read some, publics out loud. So I'm going to start reading, some comments that were, that he needed us to read for the Board of Elections. So you can go ahead and start in the 3 minutes mark. So it says here on the reading that Mr. Philgross wants us to read comics publicly tonight on July the 19th, 2023. The issues surrounding Miss Leary's eligibility to legally run in the current mayoral election has come into question. Miss Valerie Leary should never be allowed to run for mayor or any other political city leadership position because of perceived ethics and legal violations as a council person, and when she entered the mayoral race February 24th, 2023, including but not limited to, number one, after sending in a FOIA Freedom of Information requesting documents supposedly submitted by Ms. Leary to officially enter the 2023 citywide race for mayor, it appears that one of the 4 signatures don't match and her submission timeline didn't seem consistent. Instead of submitting the forms to enter the mayoral race when she was in the city administration office just a week before, Ms. Leary chose to submit them online and got a longtime city worker fired. Number 2, when Ms. Leary was supposedly asked questions by our city's attorney concerning the many inconsistencies, irregularities, undue influence on a city worker, supposed forgeries performed, and lies stated surrounding her in entering the city's race for mayor, Ms. Leary lawyered up. At that point, Ms. Leary should have been disqualified from running and taken off the ballot and full legal ethics investigation performed. Number 3, the fact that a longtime city worker was given the option to retire and get fired over certain actions taken by the city employee on behalf of Ms. Leary. These actions probably included the timeline and handling of documents relating to Ms. Leary entering the April city elections. At the pending a full investigation into Ms. Leary's actions, even after lawyering up, or Ms. Leary should have been made to pull out of the race by the city worker leaving her job over the matter and other evidence. There is no question as to Ms. Leary's guilt of unethical behavior. Number 4, the fact that the April election is over has nothing to do with the fact that the city of Newcastle should launch a full and exhaustive investigation into Ms. Leary's actions related to the April elections, which will preclude her from running in the special mayoral election. Contrary to our city's attorney, this matter still falls under the purview of our Board of Elections because these actions involved violations of ethics surrounding a city election, past or current. Just because our city attorney didn't feel the need to spend our money to get to the bottom of the matter before has absolutely nothing to do with whether there's a need to pursue a full investigation as a very serious matter and will set a very bad precedent moving into the future. That's my 3 minutes is up for public comment on that, and I think that's it for public comment. Anything else? Okay. Then I move to, am I saying this right? Adjourn our meeting.
So moved. And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you guys for attending the meeting.